Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Property Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan, on Magicbricks Now. Today we are answering questions related to buying, selling or investing in property with Ashutosh Limaye. Ashutosh is the National Director of Research at JLL and he joins me in the Mumbai studio. Ashutosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Sanjay has called in. Ashutosh, Sanjay, tell us what's your question.
Good evening, sir. My question is that I want to invest in this in Gurgaon, which is new Dwarka Expressway, Sector 104, Puri construction.
Okay.
Project name is Emerald Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to ask you, it's a pure investment. So I just wanted to inquire whether it is feasible, it is good to invest in this project or no.
Is it a good investment? What do you think, Dwarka Expressway at this point in time?
I think this location is good because that's one of the locations, if you are traveling from the Delhi side, the Dwarka side, this is the first part of Gurgaon that you enter Gurgaon in. And this particular sector is close to the Dwarka subcity. It is close to the express highway, close to the airport. So I think a long-term potential is very good. Only thing is because the expressway is not fully complete and it requires a bit of social infrastructure to get developed, for end use it might not be great, but as you said, it's purely for investment purpose. So 3 years down the line, it will become a very good location that people will go to and buy property in. So I think it's a good zone, good corridor to invest. This corridor is already getting that status of becoming one of the prime sectors of Gurgaon. So it started from 6,000 rupees a square foot, now it's touching 9,000 rupees a square foot. Going forward, the appreciation may not be much in the next 2 or 3 years, but after that, when the infrastructure falls in place, it will be a good property neighborhood to be in. So I think the choice of location is good, and most projects here are doing fairly well. So good idea to buy in here.
In fact, the only thing that is holding Dwarka Expressway back is the expressway itself. Since, like you said, since it's not yet been constructed, but I believe there has been some movement in that aspect also, right, Ashutosh?
Yeah, and I think now the completion is much more visible and the uncertainty has gone away to a large extent. So it is just a matter of time that the expressway will get completed, and once it happens, then the social infrastructure comes in really fast. So I think gone are the days when people weren't sure of what's the future going to look like. The future is going to be good for this side of Gurgaon, because it can take benefit of Dwarka subcity's infrastructure as well, which is already in place.
We have Preeti now who's written in on email. She says she is interested in investing 35 to 38 lakh rupees in a 3 BHK house in the Singapore Township project in Pocharam, Hyderabad. What are the future prospects? Now that's a very different market that she's looking at, Pocharam, because when you speak of Hyderabad, people generally concentrate on the IT corridor, the Gachibowli, the high-tech city. How do you consider, how do you see Pocharam as a market?
Yeah, so glad to get a question on the other side of Hyderabad actually, and Pocharam is largely developed along the Warangal highway, and this is the area which is exactly in the opposite corridor of the typical areas of high-tech city and Gachibowli. I think here the dynamics work around the campuses of Infosys and Genpact. Not very far away we have the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. So I think this side is also getting developed pretty well. Only thing is, in terms of distance, it is quite far from the city center. This township is good, and what we have seen here is a very steady demand for rental housing. The IT workforce and the TIFR workforce have this area in demand for rental housing, and we are seeing here about 4% of rental yields, 12 to 13,000 rupees monthly rent for a 3 BHK apartment. So good rental value. But for appreciation, I think this area has to wait for a while. One, because of its distance from the city center, and second, we really don't have a supply constraint here. So many new projects can come up. There is enough in the secondary market as well. And this area is about 2,300, 2,400 rupees a square foot market. So appreciation may not be that great, but a very steady and assured rental income
In fact, what you're talking about 4% rental yields, I know for a fact that nowhere in Mumbai you would get anything above 2.3% rental yields. 4% is something that you rarely get in the Indian market. Is it one of the markets where you get the higher rental yields in
It is
India?
certainly, and that's one of the few areas where you get such kind of yield, and it can go up going forward as well, maybe because of the employment opportunities that will get developed here to big companies, and they are going to grow. They are going to employ more. So I think a steady rental income and a good rental yield, I think, are good points about this belt. Capital appreciation, not so much. But if she doesn't need money immediately, I think she should enjoy the rental returns.
We have R.D. Tripathi who joins us on the phone now. Mr. Tripathi, go on, tell us what's your question.
Good evening, ma'am. I am R.D. Tripathi speaking from Mumbai. I have been looking for a house in Lucknow. My budget is 80 to 90 lakhs.
Okay.
Now, my requirements are, number one, it should be an independent row house. Number two, it should be ready to move. And number three, it should be in a gated community with required security arrangements. Now, I would like to occupy this house within next 2-3 months. I have chosen a housing complex of Asia Pacific Society in Arjunganj area of Sultanpur Road.
Okay.
Now, this house is otherwise ready for occupation, but I understand that there are some issues of clearances from Lucknow Development Authority. I have been told that clearances are in process. Now, I have two questions. One, should I purchase this house? Because I have to occupy within next few months, as I already said. And second, what are options in adjoining areas of Lucknow, like Gomti Nagar Extension, Amar Saeed Path, or even Library Road, of a similar type of occupation?
Right. So what would you suggest, Ashutosh? Should he buy into this particular property that he's looked at in Arjunganj, Sultanpur, or should he look at the up-and-coming Gomti Nagar area, Gomti Nagar extension, which is in fact where most of the development in Lucknow is happening at the moment?
I think first of all, congrats to him because he has done a lot of homework, and it's glad to see more and more people investing time and energy into actually doing that kind of research. I think this is one of the 3 corridors that is quite active and happening. Sultanpur Road, then you have the Raebareli Road and Faizabad Road, and Gomti Nagar Extension, etc. The progression of development is towards these 3 corridors. So I think the location is right. He also mentioned that he is looking for buying something which is ready for possession. That's a very good decision because delays have been quite common in northern India, and it's always better to go for a project which is either ready for occupation or there is a definite visibility of all sanctions coming through. While this particular project that he is mentioning, he is told that is still awaiting some sanctions. I think he can afford to wait for a few more weeks because we know that permissions which are supposed to come in a certain time come often beyond that time. And he has other projects that he can look at also because that area is not facing any shortage of projects as such. We don't anticipate prices to rise so sharply in next few weeks or months also, so there is no risk of him losing out on a good deal. So if he has liked the project and if he is convinced that the permissions are truly in process, it's just a matter of few weeks, then he can go ahead and buy. But otherwise, he has time at his disposal. He can wait and buy when the permissions are in.
And if not Sultanganj, which he's identified, where he's identified this project, which are the other locations that you would, recommend in Lucknow, which will probably give him a good return?
I think the direction of development is Gomti Nagar and beyond, Gomti Nagar Extension and the 3 corridors, Faizapur Road, Raebareli Road and Sultanpur Road. Also, there is enough in the market that comes out from the secondary market as well. So rather than choosing a city-centric location which is kind of pressured for infrastructure, I think these 3 corridors are good.
We have a viewer who's called in. I believe Saurav is on the line. Saurav, tell us what's your question.
Yeah, this is Saurabh from Delhi.
Yes, Saurav, go ahead.
Yeah. So So my query is regarding I want to buy property in particularly in West Delhi.
Sorry, you want to buy property in West Delhi?
Yes, and my budget is around 50 to 60 lakh rupees.
50 to 60 lakh rupees, West Delhi. Any particular locations or projects that you've identified?
No, I haven't identified yet, but right now I'm staying in Vikaspuri, and I'm paying around 17,000 rent. So when I see the budget, I see that there are like lot of discounts and lot of this.
So, Saurav, you want to buy for your own end use, am I right?
Yes. I would be the end user.
Okay. So, West Delhi, and his budget is 50 to 60 lakhs. He wants to buy to live in that house. Where do you suggest a good location?
I think West Delhi is a big market, and while he mentioned Vikaspuri, we have areas like Janakpuri, Uttamnagar, the Tihad area. If he moves slightly towards the Delhi city side, then he has Narayana coming up. So I think plenty of options, hardly any new projects, because in Delhi we rarely see a big new group housing projects. But he can always look at secondary markets, the DDA colonies, plentiful of them. Also, there are builder floors in secondary markets which are on sale. Probably 55 to 60 lakhs, he might find some difficulty in getting 2 BHK spacious house, but probably a compact house, very much a possibility.
Compact house is a possibility. Any particular micro market that you would, really recommend because of connectivity, etc. Because like he said, he's living in Vikaspuri and he's living on rent. Obviously, he wants to live closer to his workplace, which is probably why he's identified West Delhi. Solely based on connectivity, which market would you recommend?
I think the Dwarka end is good because the metro advantage could be had, and if he's traveling on the northern side, say towards Rohini or Pitampura, then probably Harinagar or the Tihad side, Janakpuri side can suit him better.
Right. So look at the Dwarka side if you're traveling towards north. Otherwise, look at the Tihad side. Right. Next, let's take Rishindra, who's Rishindra's question. He's written on our website. Now, Ashutosh, he says that he's planning to buy a flat or a house in Narhe, Pune. He has a budget of 19 lakh rupees. He wants to know if he can buy a Gram Panchayat sanctioned flat here, since it's an area that is currently under the Gram Panchayat limits, but it may soon come under PMC limit. He also wants to check if the flat is PMRD approved and wants to know how that needs to be done. What will be the impact, he wants to know, once this location comes under the PMC's limit. Now we know that Pune, like Delhi, has been growing in a way. They have been taking more and more villages under the PMC limit. So how will Narhe fare? And he's asking about PMRD also. Yeah. Now these are two different bodies.
Correct.
So
I think there are good and bad points about being located in a Gram Panchayat area. A good point is the approvals are much faster because Gram Panchayat is the authority that can grant you permissions. And so permissions are quick and one can complete the project really fast. The flip side is because most Gram Panchayats are not that well equipped in planning and monitoring machinery. We have seen that most Gram Panchayat areas then become zones of very dense development. The buildings are closely spaced, there may not be enough distance between them, light and ventilation may not be that good, the firefighting systems may not be up to date. So that's the flip side. So typically infrastructure suffers over a period of time. This area currently, I understand, is in a Gram Panchayat regulated area, so construction will be quick. Delays rarely happen in such areas, so he can book and get possession fairly quickly. But I think once it gets added to the PMC area, while the infrastructure will improve, water supply, drainage, sewerage, etc. will improve for sure. But there is a risk of this area becoming very dense because we have a tendency that whenever there is a possibility of any village or area to get merged with the city corporation, landlords typically want to develop quickly because developing with Gram Panchayat permissions is that much easier. So I think he has to really ensure that his property doesn't become part of a very dense development where he has to compromise on basic functions like light and ventilation. and he has to be sure that if that part is coming under district collectorate or for any town planning scheme, that additional permission he must ensure is in place. Otherwise, it becomes a problematic case.
He is also asking about PMRDA approvals.
Yeah.
Now, PMRDA we know is a development authority, and to my mind it is very much similar to the MMRDA, to what MMRDA does in Mumbai. Now, does it have to give approvals for residential projects also, and how does he check for it?
No, I don't think PMRDA looks after and monitors residential permissions. It will certainly look into whether that particular zone is available for development or not, whether that particular location is required for any metropolitan level infrastructure project.
So you're saying the zoning of that land, the town planning is what PMRDA is
That's
concerned
right.
with.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is why he needs to check on that as
Correct.
well. Let's move on. We have Vijay Singh now who's called us. Vijay, what's your question?
My question is that I had booked a flat in JP Wish Town in Noida in February 2011 with the builder saying that he will deliver it in 3 years, that I was supposed to get the flat by the early part of 2014. And now we are into 2016 and there is, the project is nowhere in sight as far as completion is concerned. So I wanted to know as to what are the prospects of this project getting completed as far as JP Wish Town is concerned, and what are the options available to me?
Vijay, how much money have you put into this project?
We have already given almost about 70% of the money.
He's paid 70% of the money. It's already been delayed by over 2 years.
Yes.
What does he do now?
I think he joins those so many buyers who are facing this issue of delayed possessions and slow construction. I think entire Noida, Greater Noida city, so as to speak, faced this problem. Some factors were because of developers' fault. Some other factors were not because of developers' fault. We have had legal issues. We have had environment-related issues. All sorts of things. But I think Noida is now seeing construction activity, and I do hope that this and other projects like this who have severe delays go on a faster pace to get completed. It depends whether he has invested for investment purpose or he wants to use it firsthand as an end user. And since he has paid 70% of money, I think it is practical for him to stay in the project and discuss with the developers, get a good sense that what is the practical kind of solution and when this project is likely to get completed. If he is not convinced after his dialogue with the developer that within a certain period his project will be delivered, then makes sense for him to discuss exiting from this project and buy in a project which is either ready or very close to completion, or go for a secondary market.
Now, Ashutosh, the latter part of your answer where you said that he should figure out whether or not it makes sense to stay in the project by talking to a developer. Now, developers may not be that upfront. They may not give you the real picture. So, as a buyer, how do you really, come to a position and take a decision that, okay, this is probably now, I've probably reached a place where I should stop throwing more good money after money that's gone bad and look to exit. So are there any visible signs that you can look for, maybe on the construction site or in the developer's office, that are kind of red flags for you?
I think if one visits the project site and realizes that there is little or no activity happening for a long period of time, that's clearly a red flag. Also, if there are several projects by the same developer who which are really kind of standstill, that's clearly a red flag. And also, if the developer is financially stressed, and that one could find out from the developers associations also, that's a red flag as well.
We have Vanita Murthy who's called in. Vanita, tell us what's your question.
Yeah, hi, Kavita. My husband bought 2 plots actually adjacent to each other in East City, Narne Estates in BB Nagar, Hyderabad.
Okay.
Now, since we don't stay there, a few years back, 2 years back, we wanted to sell it. So when we went to the one of the property dealers there, he said, no, this sector 2, actually, these plots are in sector 2, block F. So the property dealer said, no, these are under dispute. Now, when we went back to Narne Estates, they said, no, don't worry, it will get solved. Till now, it hasn't been solved. And I also wanted to know what is the going rate over there. How much do you think, is there any development? How much do we expect for these plots?
Okay, how much can they expect for this? But you also need to keep in mind that there is some dispute, but Vanita is saying that there is no clarity on that as well.
Yeah, I think there are two angles to this question. One is the market angle or the commercial angle of what price it can fetch, and second is the legal angle. So I think Bibi Nagar again shows a variation. Areas which are close to the highway, again it's a highway driven development. The plot size prices there vary from 2,000 rupees to 2,500 rupees a square yard. Whereas if you cross the railway track and go on the other side, then the property prices fell to about 1,500 rupees per square yard. So the variation is great. Also, if there is a genuine dispute and she wants to sell, the buyer is going to discount it. So I think really as a family she has to take a call whether to not sell and wait for the dispute to get over so that she can command the market price, or just take the discounted price and exit because it's a dispute that she believes
how does she
going to
check?
happen.
Because the dealer in this particular case is saying that there is a dispute, but somebody else has told her that no, there is no dispute. So how does she really check whether or not that land in question is disputed? Also because she doesn't live over there.
Yeah.
So they essentially have to travel to Hyderabad every time.
No, again, she has to engage legal advice and meet with the promoter or developers lawyers, because we are told here that the project promoter believes that the dispute is going to get resolved. So their lawyer should be able to convince her lawyer that the dispute is under control and it's going to get resolved. And then she probably has to go by what her lawyer says, whether that side of developer story is true or not, or it's going to take longer. And then she has to weigh her family's risk appetite. If she believes that, okay, staying on doesn't hurt her, the family much, and the dispute is going to get resolved, they then wait and get the market value. Else, there will be buyers who are not shy of buying disputed properties, but again, she has to settle for some discount.
We have Karthik now, who's written in on our website. Now, Karthik has shortlisted a 2 BHK property by Arcade Group in Acropolis in Virar. Now, he wants to know about the future of this project in terms of, he wants future prospects of the project. He also wants to know about Virar as an investment option. Now, I can tell you one thing. You are going to see an elevated line coming up very soon between Churchgate and Virar, and for anybody who lives in Mumbai, I think that itself is enough incentive to go and invest in Virar. Don't you think so, Ashutosh?
That's a much needed boost that Virar got, and the decision of construction of the elevated rail corridor certainly will help Virar's cause. Virar has to constantly compete with two other corridors of Mumbai suburbs. One is the Kalyan corridor and the second is the Panvel corridor. And one will observe that the prices in these three corridors are quite close to one another. And then eventually it comes down to what kind of infrastructure these three corridors are offering to the buyers to offer a good quality of life. And till very recently, Virar did not have that kind of infrastructure to really compete with Kalyan corridor or Panvel corridor. Also, the location of Virar means that it's a very good location if you have to travel to the western suburbs for your work, say Andheri or Gorega, Malad, anywhere on the western line, it's more convenient. Also, we have seen that people are choosing Virar as a place of stay and they are working in the other side of Mumbai, the opposite direction, which is Vapi, Daman, Tarapur, Boisar. So it opened up another buyer clientele or category of people working in the industrial areas of Maharashtra-Gujarat border.
Will this
and living
also
in Virar.
benefit from that entire DMIC corridor that is, coming up?
To an extent, but the convenience of traveling to the western suburbs also means that the other parts of Mumbai are not that well connected because of its geographic location. It's on one side. And from that perspective, Panvel corridor and Kalyan corridor score better. And that's why Virar has to keep on constantly competing with those. So it depends on where he has to commute for work. If it is western suburbs, Virar is a good place to buy. It has got its own social infrastructure in place. So it's a very good residential satellite city. Little has happened in terms of economic activity getting generated within Virar. But there is no wrong of being a residential satellite town. But he expects his work commit to involve other parts of Mumbai, say the central side or the Navi Mumbai side, then probably Virar will not be that convenient.
There are certain infrastructure developments which will give you a leg up. So if it is a pure residential play that you're looking at, then probably Virar is a good bet for you. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Property Hotline. Ashutosh Limaye, thank you very much for joining us. If
Pleasure.
you have any feedback or suggestions that you would like to share, any questions that you would want to ask, and we are not answering questions just on buying, selling or investing in real estate. As you do know, we answer questions on taxes in real estate, on home finance, and of course, on legal issues as well. So any question regarding real estate, do get in touch with us. You know how to do that. Send in your questions on email, Facebook, on our website. You can tweet to me or simply call us live on Property Hotline. Thank you very much for watching. Keep watching Magicbricks Now.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.